Good evening, friends. It's indeed a great pleasure to host the webinar to showcase the Kingdom of Netherlands. You may wonder why the Netherlands. There are two reasons to it. One, World Trade Center. There are 10 World Trade Centers in Netherlands, like Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Leeuwarden, Twente. They all are very active and they formed an alliance called Netherlands Alliance. And the other side, I don't know, definitely, I don't know, the Netherlands Consulate itself, I don't know, it is housed at the World Trade Center, and Vijay is a good friend, I don't know, maybe more than two to 2.5 decades, can say, I don't know. And as far as I don't know, is our knowledge partner who are very closely associated with the World Trade Center, then why not, I don't know, just to make an attempt, what I don't know, Partha was asking about, is it a first time we are doing? It's an attempt. And we are done, World Trade Center had done during this lockdown, more than 20 webinars on different topics we organized, we conducted. It was very well attended on sector-wise, like the retail, logistics, etc., as well as the product-wise too. And we are happy to have the Deputy Consul General, Heine Legawan, to be one of the panelists for this program. And he's a well-known personality here in Bangalore. Even though he completed only 1.5 years, he is very well known to the southern part, as well as especially in Bangalore. I was just going through his profile, or just to get some more, even though he's in the same building. And he is well appreciated by this Akshay Patra, which is hosted by, I don't know, what it called, ISKCON temple, I don't know, for the poor, the school children, etc., I don't know, who provide the meals. And with these viewers, I'll not take much time, I don't know. I'll just hand over to Alex, because Vijay will be moderating and Vijay will be introducing the speakers in details part of it. Without wasting my time, may I request Alex to take it forward? Alex.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Bosmeyer. I hope I am audible. Good evening, everyone. SAS Partners is extremely glad to collaborate with World Trade Center, Bangalore, Kochi, and Chennai in bringing a series of programs on the internationalization of Indian companies. While we are going through one of the most uncertain times of our generation, arising out of the pandemic, we remain really optimistic. SAS Partners, as a professional advisory organization, has always been in the forefront of promoting cross-border investment and trade with India as a focal point. While our team of legal, finance, tax, engineering, and business experts continue to advise Indian companies and foreign companies doing business in India, we think it is important to contribute to the opportunity radar of Indian entrepreneurs by showcasing business possibilities in the international markets. Of course, the Indian companies were on a rapid expansion in the overseas markets, though at a smaller pace compared to many other countries. Irrespective of the industry they belong, aspiring Indian companies were brave enough to enter the global markets, from food exporters to auto components to education businesses to technology businesses, to name a few. Some of them preferred to buy companies overseas. Some of them preferred to open up sales and marketing offices, which is one of the first steps. Some of them decided to enter into collaborations or joint ventures, and some of them preferred to set up research and development centers. Beyond the corporate outward foreign direct investments from India, even Indian individuals were remitting money abroad with an intention to invest through the liberalized remittance scheme set up for individuals. Pandemic is once again reminding us the need for doing business sustainably and globally. Here today we are showcasing the Netherlands, who has embraced the challenges of sustainability while meeting the expanding needs of the world. The country aims to become a fully circular economy by year 2050. As you all know, the Dutch has been historically open, inventive, and inclusive. They are in the forefront of international trade by being the fifth largest exporter in the world and second for agricultural products. The Netherlands gets investments in billions of euros and consistently ranked in the top 10. Also, Netherlands investors and pension funds are among the world's biggest investors, and India is no exception. The country is known for its creativity, not only known for its creativity, but also for its innovation and digitization. I don't think a lot of people really know that Dutch engineers were behind the Wi-Fi, the CD, the DVD, and the Bluetooth technologies. New age technologies such as photonics, quantum computing are being developed in Netherlands, and they are in the forefront. Netherlands has been one of the India's biggest trade and investment partner in the European Union. Indo-Dutch relations are strong rooted with over 400 years of history to its credit. In terms of trade and investment, India has strong economic interest in the Netherlands. There are over 200 Indian companies operating in the Netherlands, and there are almost similar number operating in India as well. Netherlands has also emerged as one of the biggest investors in India across a variety of sectors such as services, trading, automotive, fermentation, chemicals, water management, etc. The Netherlands was India's fifth largest trading partner in Europe. The two-way trade has crossed almost $12 billion. And Port of Rotterdam is a household name for many of the Indian exporters, given its position as a window to the European market. Indo-Dutch relations are also thriving in the education and the cultural spectrum. Today, we have laid out an informed and excellent panel moderated by Mr. V. Vijay Kumar, an economist and veteran in the Indo-Dutch trade and investment relations. They are going to take you through a variety of aspects of possibilities and modalities of doing business in the Netherlands. We at SAS Partners certainly hope this platform will help you in further exploring the possible business avenues that Netherlands can provide. Of course, our knowledge pool and partner relations are always at your disposal for exploring, venturing, and being successful. With this, please let me invite Mr. Vijay to take over. Once again, we welcome you all and wish you had a good information session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thanks very much for participating in this webinar, which is our first event on internationalization, which we organized along with SAS Partners and the World Trade Center, and of course the Consulate General of the Netherlands for South India, based out of Bangalore. When Alex and I started discussing about organizing a webinar on creating awareness on opportunities for Indian companies to go international, the first country that came into our minds was the Netherlands. And this was not just because of my long association with the Dutch. The Netherlands has been one of the most active countries, especially among the smaller countries, in trade and investment promotion in India. It is the fourth largest investor in India, and India is the fifth largest investor in the Netherlands. But when I said small countries, I meant this only in terms of the physical size of the country. I have said this in the past, and I continue to say this. The Netherlands is a small country with a huge global economic presence. A country which is approximately the size of Haryana, the Indian state of Haryana, with a population of 17 million and over 23 million bicycles, may look small, but in reality, it is truly an economic giant. I will run through a couple of slides which will elaborate on this further rather than speak, and will tell you why we chose Netherlands. Can everybody see this? Is it clear to everybody? Yeah. Okay. So, this is basically the ranking of the Netherlands, a global ranking as well as in Europe, and why it is really the gateway to Europe. If you see in the Netherlands stands #1 in production and auctioning of cut flowers, in maritime infrastructure and water transportation, the largest port in the European Union, the number of broadband connections per 100 inhabitants, and it's the most competitive country in the EU. It is #2 as the largest exporter of agri-food products, second only to the USA. It is second in the highest online connectivity in the world. It is second in the Global Innovation Index, and second in its Logistics Performance Index. It's #4. It's in the Global Democracy Index. It stands #4. It is the 4th advanced ICT country in the world. It is the 4th most prosperous country by the Human Development Index. And it is the 4th most competitive country in the world. Now you go to the next slide, you can see it's #5. It ranks as the largest exporter of goods, the most innovative country, the largest importer of goods, and the largest chemical exporting country. In #6, it's the largest, I think there's something wrong here. It's the largest, it's the 6th largest economy in the EU. It's the 7th largest in terms of foreign investments abroad. The Netherlands has a huge pension funds which invest abroad, and it is, for a small country of just 17 million people, it is the 7th largest investor abroad. It's also the 7th largest recipient of foreign investments. And this is the last slide, because it ranks 8th as the quality of life, 8th in the favorable business climate, and 8th is the largest importer of commercial services. It ranks 9th as the largest exporter of commercial services, and 10th as the least corrupt nation. So these are just some things that I took just to give you a snapshot of how this so-called small country is really a global economic giant, as I said earlier. So that was the idea of giving you this thing, snapshot. So, and that's one of the reasons, or perhaps the main reason why we chose Netherlands for our first webinar on internationalization. Because the Netherlands itself is such an international country that we decided it is the most appropriate country for us. I will now go on to our speakers. I won't talk more. The first speaker in this webinar will be Mr. Hein Lagaveen. Mr. Lagaveen is the Deputy Consul General of the Consulate General of Netherlands in Bengaluru. Mr. Lagaveen will give us an overview of the business opportunities and focus sectors. Over to you, Hein.
Yes, thank you very much, Vijay. I hope that I'm audible.
Very clear.
Good, thank you. Well, everybody, welcome from my side as well to this webinar. I would like to thank the organizers, SAS partners, the World Trade Center in Bangalore, our physical host. Our office is located in the World Trade Center, and my colleagues of the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, NFIA. I will now share my screen. I hope you can see my presentation. I made a presentation to inform you about what we are doing here as a Consulate General in India, but also more in general as a diplomatic mission of the Netherlands in India. And I will briefly touch upon the business relations between India and the Netherlands. But I will leave most of that to my colleague Balaji of NFIA, who will speak after me. Let's see. So this is our diplomatic presence in India. We have, of course, our embassy in New Delhi, We have a Consulate General in Mumbai, which has been around for over 2 decades already. And 2 years ago, we opened our Consulate General in Bengaluru to cover the south of India. And that's where I'm working. We cover the 5 southern states, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. And next to that diplomatic presence, we have 2 Netherlands business support offices, so-called MBSOs, in Gujarat and in Hyderabad. And we have 3 honorary consuls in Calcutta, in Lucknow, and since last year also in Chennai, Mr. Gopal Srinivasan. We are very happy to have him on board as well. And all of those offices, except for our honorary consuls, but all the other offices have provide economic services as well to businesses. So we are the newest kid on the block. Our Consulate General, like I already mentioned, was opened in 2018. Before that, there was a trade office, an MBSO, that covered the south. It was located in Chennai, and Mr. Vijay Kumar, who spoke before me, was the chief representative of that office for over 20 years, I believe. We are located at the World Trade Center. There's a beautiful picture of the building, and you can find us online, Netherlands and You, and our email address is located here as well. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. So we are new. Our office is new, but the Dutch relationship with the south of India is not new. It started over 4 centuries ago when Dutch traders came to the Coromandel coast, which is nowadays Tamil Nadu. They came as traders, spices for textile. And a couple of years later, they established a trade post on the other side of the subcontinent at the Malabar coast, which is present-day Kochi. And there's still a lot of Dutch heritage to be found in Fort Cochin. So if you haven't been there yet, it's worth going there. So what do we do? Our office is mainly focused on economic diplomacy. We do not have a political section at our consulate. Those things are taken care of by our embassy in New Delhi. And we do not have a consular department either, although you can apply for a visa in Bengaluru, but with our external service provider, VFS. So economic diplomacy, which in a nutshell means that we assist, we facilitate, we inform Dutch companies that want to trade and that want to invest in India. And we also inform and assist Indian companies that want to invest in the Netherlands. Indian companies that want to trade with the Netherlands can also contact us, but their primary point of contact should be the Indian embassy in the Netherlands. And we have different departments within our consulate, and I will briefly touch upon them below. So first of all, our trade department, which is actually our core business, trade promotion, which means that we assist Dutch companies and Dutch institutions and inform them about the market, the Indian market. We introduce them to possible business partners. And what it also meant, back in the good old days, before the Corona crisis, was that we organized trade missions, that we show them around. But unfortunately, that is no longer possible. So nowadays, trade promotion mainly means that we organize a lot of webinars, like this one. And tomorrow we organize another one on sustainable urban development. What it also means is that we organize digital trade missions. So not physical ones, but over the computer, which works pretty well. And one of the classical things is that we also do is, of course, provide market information and troubleshooting, which means that if a Dutch company active in India has a problem, we can try to mediate. And I mentioned agriculture here as well, because even though our office is sector agnostic, so we do not specify specific sectors, the Netherlands is the Netherlands is very much interested to promote the agricultural relationship with India. And that's why as a diplomatic representation as a whole, we have a specific agricultural department as well. They are based in Delhi, but very active in the south of India as well. Other sectors that we work a lot on, we work a lot in here in the south, is next to agriculture, IT, of course, startups, urban planning, urban development, smart cities, and water. Another department that we have is the innovation department, which has overlap with our trade department. But while our trade department is mainly assisting companies, our innovation department is looking at stimulating an exchange of knowledge and research cooperation. So not very much focused on business opportunities, but more on knowledge exchange. A third department that we have here is our educational department. There are 4 people working on education within our office. They do not only cover the south of India, but they are working pan-India. The office is called Nuffic NISO. And what they are basically doing is promoting knowledge exchange between higher education institutes. Their mandate used to be attracting as many Indian students to go and study in the Netherlands, but they were so successful in that, and the other Nuffic NISOs around the world as well, that nowadays we have a lot of foreign students studying in the Netherlands, and all of them are very much welcome. But Nuffic NISO is nowadays not so much focusing anymore on quantity, but more on quality. So finding those students that are interested in certain specific studies, attracting PhD candidates, those kind of things. Studying in the Netherlands is, well, a great way to enhance yourself. And it also has certain benefits. After a student graduates, for instance, he is allowed to stay in the Netherlands for another year to try and find a job. Annual tuition fee is around 6,000 to 15,000 euros. That's quite a big margin, I understand, but that's because different studies ask different tuition fees. And I just looked it up, and there are in the top 100 of the Times Higher Education ranking, there are 7 Dutch universities. So it's also a good level. And of course, one of our departments is also NFIA, the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency. I will not touch upon this too long because my colleague of the NFIA, Balaji, will speak after me. But I can already suggest that you follow my NFIA colleagues on LinkedIn. Balaji, Arnoud, and Jeroen are very active on LinkedIn, and pretty much every day they share an interesting fact about the Netherlands on their pages. So yeah, I recommend that you have a look at that. So then something about the Netherlands. Like Vijay already mentioned, we are, in terms of size and in terms of population, we are a small country, 17 million people. And in Bangalore, I think there are about 13 million people living. So the whole of the Netherlands almost fits in just one single Indian city. And yes, I've been here for 1.5 years, but I still have to get used to the sheer size of this country and the size of the population as well. So yeah, in terms of size, population, we're a small country, but if you look at economic indicators, well, you can say that we punch above our weight. Our export is indeed the 5th largest in the world, and our agricultural export is the 2nd largest. I do have to mention with those figures that not all of those not all of those goods and services are also produced in the Netherlands. A lot of it is also transit, and that is because the Netherlands is known as the gateway of Europe. With our port in Rotterdam, our airport in Amsterdam, and our location within Europe, we are, well, it's an excellent location from the Netherlands to trade with the rest of the European Union. Regarding Dutch-Indian trade relationships, if you look at our position within the European Union, we are the second largest importer of goods, of Indian goods within the EU, and the fifth largest exporter of goods to India within the EU. India has a trade surplus with the Netherlands. But that being said, there is still room for improvement as well, because if you look, for instance, at our trade statistics with Brazil, Spain, Poland, Turkey, the trade figures with those countries are still higher than India. So there's still a lot of room for improvement, which, well, I hope we can do together, our office together with the businesses that you represent. I'm almost at the end of my presentation, but I would like to conclude with saying that the relationship between the Netherlands and India is not only limited to a business relationship, but also in other fields. There are strong links, for instance, in language. And I didn't know this, but there are quite some words that we use in the Dutch language that originally are Hindi words. For instance, those words, curry, bazaar, well, I will not name all of them, but those are Hindi words, and we use them every day in the Netherlands as well. So not only a business relationship, but also a linguistic relationship. The photo, by the way, is, well, your Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and our Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Rutte, on a bicycle, typical mean of transportation in the Netherlands. With this, I conclude my presentation. I would like to thank you. And if you have any questions that we cannot answer right now during this webinar, please feel free to send us an email. Our general email address is bgl@minbusa.nl, and you can also send me a personal email. So yeah, thank you once again, and I would like to give the floor to my colleague Balaji Venkataraman now. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Heiner. Very interesting presentation, and a lot about the activities of the Dutch Trade Network in India, which is very informative. Our next speaker would be Mr. Balaji Venkataraman. Balaji is the head of he's the area director of NFIA South India, and he's going to give a presentation on why Netherlands is one of the most attractive places to set up your European headquarters and an office in Europe. Over to you, Balaji.
Thank you, Vijay. I will share my screen now. Is my screen visible? Is my screen visible? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Sir.
you. 1 second. 1 moment. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on a weekday afternoon. It's quite unenviable to speak after Vijay and Heiner Lagveen, because they've already covered the economic and the foreign affairs aspect of it. But I will still try not to repeat what Heiner and Vijay has already mentioned. My name is Balaji, and I work for the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency. I'm stationed at the Consulate in Bangalore. Before we begin, some of you might already have this question: why are we interchangeably using the word Holland and Netherlands? So in short, the name Holland stems from two provinces, the north and south provinces of Netherlands, and that's how the country is most often referred to as Holland. But nevertheless, the official name is the Netherlands, with the capital located in the city of Amsterdam. Just thought I would make that clear. So now that we know what the country is about and what its business capabilities are from Vijay and Haina, I would like to introduce the Invest in Holland team. Invest in Holland is a program that was started in 1978. So we are in our 42nd year of operation. We come under the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Dutch government, and we have about 27 locations across the world. We mostly work out of the Dutch consulates and embassies. In India, we have 3 offices in New Delhi, in Mumbai, and Bangalore. Bangalore being the new kid on the block. Our website, as you can see here, is Invest in Holland. On the contrary to what the name or the website says, you really don't have to invest any money to set up your business in Holland. You can also set up an office and incur your operational expenses and still continue your business. So there is no financial investment that is required, unlike what the term says. So why would somebody like to set up in the Netherlands? We have quite a geographical advantage, I must say. Quite located at the heart of Europe, so anywhere in Europe can be accessed an hour by plane, and also within 1,000-kilometer radius, you have access to about 244 million consumers who could be your potential customers. Apart from this, as Vijay already mentioned, we rank very highly in the innovation index. 90% of the population in the Netherlands also speak English. So doing business is definitely very easy when you have English as a spoken medium. Apart from this, a very friendly business climate, very highly skilled labor force. As Heine was mentioning, the Netherlands is home to one of the prestigious universities in Europe, like TU Delft, Amsterdam, TU Eindhoven. Every year, thousands of students from India go there and study in the Netherlands for various programs, bachelor's, master's, and even doctoral programs. The fiscal climate is also quite attractive with very attractive tax rates, which our panelists will be speaking about later. I would also like to highlight the extensive infrastructure. We call it the 3 ports. One, the Schiphol Airport, which is one of the largest in Europe. Second, the Rotterdam Seaport, which is actually the largest in Europe. And third, the Brainport, so which is home to one of the smartest companies and people in Europe, by the way. Moving on. So if you have ever had a chance to have a donut, you're welcome. The Dutch have a history of inventing the donut. There are various versions, but the version I like is on June 22nd, 1847, a sailor by name Hansen Gregory invented the donut. His mother packaged some donuts for a voyage that he was setting out on, I believe. We are not just famous for donuts. We are also known for our annual flagship event on drones. As you can see on the screen, the Amsterdam Drone Week, held around the end of the year, November, December, is a very prestigious event, hosting the top players in the drone industry and also the aerospace industry. A lot of technology, policy, and business personalities take part in this event. The automotive campus, that icon that you can see on the screen, is located in Eindhoven. Fortune magazine identified Eindhoven as one of the 7 best global cities for startups. High-tech campus, which is located in Eindhoven, is known as the smartest square kilometer in the world, with about 150 companies such as Philips, NXP, IBM, Intel, and about 10,000 engineers. This square kilometer is home to a lot of patents. They churn out a lot of patents day in, day out. Food Valley is yet another unique place in the Netherlands. Food Valley is a region in the Wageningen area. Food Valley is home for a large number of food multinationals, by the way. If you had a chance, National Geographic published an article 2 years back highlighting Netherlands as a tiny country that feeds the world. Netherlands is actually the 2nd largest exporter of food produce across the world, And Food Valley is the heart of all research and development that happens along the lines of food. The Hague Security Delta, as the name suggests, it is home to a lot of research and action along the lines of cybersecurity. A few of our current investors in this domain have opted to partner with Hague Security Delta, which is a Dutch network of business, governments, and knowledge institutions that work together on knowledge development and innovation in cybersecurity. Talk of health, and you speak of Netherlands. As of April 2019, the European Medicines Agencies, or the EMA, relocated from London to Amsterdam, thereby making Amsterdam and the Netherlands as a hub for all policy making and research with respect to healthcare. So Health Valley campus is actually a unifying platform for universities, care institutions, companies, and governmental authorities to exchange information and collaborate in setting up innovative businesses in the healthcare domain. Netherlands is not just the geographical gateway to Europe. Netherlands is also the digital gateway to Europe. The underwater internet optical fiber enters Europe, touching Amsterdam. So Amsterdam can boast of one of the lowest latencies and super fast internet connections, which is why you have top multinationals like Netflix operating their European headquarters out of Amsterdam. There is also a lot of data centers that operate in this cluster. Talk of fashion, Netherlands is no way behind. Amsterdam, in fact, is known as the Mecca of fashion. It's known as the origin of denim fashion across the world. So every year, the Dutch Design Week. So this is not just restricted to apparel design, but also to do with industrial design. There is a lot of design-related activities that happen across the Netherlands. The Dutch Design Week is only one example of an event where all designers come together and share their knowledge and thoughts. So who is here now? So suppose if you set up your company, who will be your neighbors? The who is who in the industry, ASML, the company that redefines the microprocessor that resides inside your computer. What you might buy 5 years from now is probably getting designed at the ASML facility in Eindhoven. Amgen, the biotech company, Airbus, the famous aerospace company, Heineken, you're already aware, the brewing company, Microsoft, Tesla, all of them have their presence either as a sales and marketing office, an R&D, or a technical center in the Netherlands. It's not just the international players, but a lot of Desi players too. Desi as an Indian companies who have set up in the Netherlands. We're proud to say that NFIA has assisted close to about 200 Indian companies to set up their entities in the Netherlands. Our prestigious investors include Infosys, Tata, Wipro, Zoho, iSolve, LT Foods, Kirloskar, only to name a few. We are also very sector agnostic, by the way. We work across almost all the sectors, by the way. Sector diversity, as I was speaking about, we have also had the privilege of attracting some small but niche companies across various sectors, like Creo, a design company from Bangalore, Sagar Defense, a maritime defense company, Synthite, a food company, HCL for their cybersecurity activities, Fourth Code, an IoT company from Bangalore who eventually won the Smart Cities contract in the Netherlands, and Intech, a first 3D metal printing company from Bangalore. So the key sectors that we assist are high tech, that includes engineering, IT services. Of late, we are seeing a lot of SaaS companies wanting to establish their entities in the Netherlands. We see a lot of chemical companies also. Thirumalai Chemical is one of the popular chemical companies in Chennai, recently established their company entity in the Netherlands. Agro-food and also life sciences. So these are some of the key sectors that we operate. the key operations that these companies are engaged in are some of them establish a sales marketing entity, some of them set up a R&D. Some companies choose to set up their European headquarters, and sitting in Netherlands, they operate their complete European business. So how can the NFIA help? If you haven't been to the Netherlands, we help you get a feel for the place. We connect you with the local networks, we connect you with the regulators, the local technology clusters and consultants who help you to make the right decision on whether to set up your entity in Netherlands, and if yes, where should you set up your office. We also have a expert network who can inform you about incentives and regulations and procedures. What if you are a innovation centric or a patent centric company? What kind of incentives you can get? Once you've made your decision to explore further, we organize something called a fact-finding program, where we organize customized trips for you across these clusters, introducing you to companies and networks and helping you make your decision. And finally, all of this we provide completely free of cost and with complete confidence. So if you are interested, feel free to reach out to me. My email is there on the screen. Thank you very much, Vijay, for the opportunity. Vijay, you're on mute. Vijay, you're still on mute, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Balaji, for your quick presentation. But Balaji, I would, can I request you to elaborate a little bit on, last week, I read on LinkedIn a post by Jeroen Nyland, the director of NFIA, about an online orientation for companies, foreign companies that want to invest in the Netherlands, where they'll take you through online and tell you about all the advantages. Could you just talk a little bit about this aspect, so that people can actually, those who are interested to invest in Netherlands can also try and do this on an online basis?
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. This is actually the online version of the physical fact-finding trip that I just mentioned. Usually what happens is the interested company visits the Netherlands, and somebody right from the airport accompanies this company representatives and takes them across the areas that he or she might be interested in. So they get an overall perspective of the location, the regulations, the policies, and also the benefits. We are piloting the online fact-finding program. We are yet to onboard an Indian company in this. I will be happy to assist any Indian company that might be keen on that. Of course, I'm not very sure how the line looks like. I'll be happy to check with the headquarters and assist any Indian company.
So that looked very interesting, especially in these times when people cannot travel. Thanks very much, Balaji. It was very useful and very interesting. I now go on to our next speakers. We have two gentlemen from Netherlands, from Amsterdam. Mr. Rainer Russell, who's managing partner of Russell Advocaten in Amsterdam, and his colleague, Mr. Guus van Lieshout. Mr. Russell and Mr. van Lieshout will take you through the legal issues that are involved when you're looking at setting up your office in the Netherlands. Please, Mr. Russell and Mr. van Lieshout.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for inviting us to this wonderful webinar. We are both corporate lawyers here in Amsterdam, surrounded by an Indian community of over 5,000. So Indian companies are already well established in the Netherlands, because the ties between our countries, as we heard earlier on, are already for hundreds of years. We are very small, so our side was also always on foreign trade and foreign business, foreign investments. We also like to attract foreign business, and for that you either establish an entity, we will come on that in more detail. On our slides you can see a few companies that already have their existence in the Netherlands. For tax reasons, we are well known because the Netherlands is a tax-friendly haven until now, and there are also other companies, real companies, so to speak, which you see on the screen. For example, the Beatles, the music people, that's a Dutch company, but it's a Dutch company with no existence, only their royalties are being dealt with because the tax environment is friendly. There are different rules when you have existence in the Netherlands, like Max, Tata Steel, Value Labs, and companies which do not have actual basis. What we are talking about today is international investment in the Netherlands with real existence. Russell Advocaten is established over 70 years ago. We are corporate lawyers taking care of compliance of international companies with Dutch law and EU law. As you know, the word was spread already, gateway to Europe. It means once you're established here, you can deal throughout Europe, and it's a big market. Worldwide, we are a member of Primaris, 170 law firms in 40 countries, and we are in the EMEA Legal 500 listed since 2005. We will now first focus on opening a branch or an active BV, an active company. Then we will say something about hiring and firing people, closing down business if necessary. I turn over to my colleague Guus van Lieshout.
The first question, how to start a business. There are more ways to start a business in the Netherlands. First of all, you can think of opening a branch office. That means that you use your foreign company, for example, your company in India, and then you open a branch in the Netherlands, which is easy. The disadvantage is that your foreign company, so your Indian company, will be liable for the debts and acts of the Dutch branch office. That's why we normally advise to establish a Dutch entity in the Netherlands. Another possibility, if you do not want to open a Dutch entity yet, but first want to see if business is doing well in the Netherlands and in Europe, you can decide to use an agent or a distributor in the Netherlands. For example, to sell your products in Europe. Another possibility is doing it by a franchise. These agents and distributors, they will sell the products for you and they will get a commission. If things are going very well, you can end the contract with the agent and open an entity, open an office, get employees. But using agents or distributor or franchise can be a good first step to opening a company.
Guus, I'm very sorry to interrupt. But if you have a PowerPoint presentation, I do not know if you have, but maybe you can share your screen.
Oh,
sorry for that.
Wait.
At the bottom of the screen, there is an item, share screen. It's in green.
Sorry, wait. So now you see it?
Yes, now we can see it if you,
sorry. I thought I already shared it. Okay,
yeah, perfect.
You see it?
Now you see it.
Okay, sorry for
Thank
that.
you.
So this is actually the first slide I was talking about. These are the first 3 possibilities for doing business in the Netherlands. So when you decide to open an entity, the most common entity is the besloten vennootschap, which is the BV. It's a limited liability company, comparable to the limited in the UK or the Inc. in the US. There's no paid-in capital required. That means you can start a company with a capital of only €1. And another important thing is that it's easy to close down. Basically, it's just the decision of the shareholders to close a business. It's filling out a form with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce. And if you have any assets in the Netherlands, these must be sold or settled by the directors. But it's fairly easy to close down a company. Furthermore, shareholders and directors can be also foreign legal entities. So for example, if you already have an Indian company, you can have the Indian company as the sole shareholder and director of the Dutch company. The way it works is that we involve a notary who draws up the deed of incorporation, which includes all the internal rules. And then the BV is registered with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce. Regarding the costs, because I think someone also asked in the Q&A what are the costs of opening a company in the Netherlands. It depends on how you want to structure it and how you want to do the business. But if you want to open an entity, in general, we say around €5,000 for the incorporation costs, €1,000 for the notary costs, and then you have to involve an accountant to do the financial statements, etc. And then you have to think around €2,000 per year. The amount of time to incorporate the BV largely depends on how fast the documentation is available. We have done incorporations in 3 weeks, and we have done an incorporation which took 1.5 years, because it really depends on how fast the notary receives the required documents. You find a list here. I think in general, from our experience in India, it's easy to get the documents available in English, which is important. We need, for example, the extract of the Chamber of Commerce in India, the Articles of Association of the Indian company, and we need a document which shows that who is the ultimate beneficial owner, so the ultimate shareholder of the company, and who are able to represent the company. These are things, there's some paperwork that has to be done. The faster we receive it, the faster the company can be incorporated. So it can be done already within a few weeks. My final slide is about the trust offices, which can be useful in the Netherlands, especially when you start doing business here and you don't have an office address yet, you don't have employees yet, because I think I also saw one question from someone who said, I have an IT company in India, consulting, but I don't want to open up an office in the Netherlands. I don't want to hire employees. I just want to be doing business in the Netherlands and Europe. That's possible, but there are some things you need to think about. One is that you need an address, and trust offices can provide an address, domicile, in the Netherlands. They can also assist with opening a bank account in the Netherlands, which is important. And finally, they can assist by providing a Dutch resident director, because in some cases you need the board of directors to be at least 50% Dutch residents. So for example, you can have a director or 2 directors from India who live in India, and then you have one director, a Dutch resident director, provided by the trust office, who will be on paper the director, but of course doesn't have any power. But this is a way to fulfill all the requirements, the substance requirements, to fulfill all the rules in the Netherlands. But in general, it's easy to open a company, it's easy to close down a company, especially with trust officers involved, you can very easily open a company.
Hiring and firing personnel. In the beginning, when you start in the Netherlands, it's fairly easy. In the first 3 years, you have the option to make 3 annual contracts. So if you do not know whether your business is running up quickly, then you start with a 1-year contract. And my colleague Guus said it's fairly easy to close down the company. If you have a definite contract for a definite period of time, you can do it 3 times in a row, 36 months at the maximum. So if you don't know whether the business is viable, yes or no, then you start for, let's say, 1 year or 2 years, and then you can fire your employees fairly simple, because at the end of the contract, it ends automatically. After the 3 years, it becomes an indefinite contract, and then it's more difficult to end the contract. Imperative laws in the Netherlands is that we have minimum wages depending on somebody's age, minimum number of holidays. Minimum is 4 times the number of days you work per week. So if you work 5 days per week, at least 20 holidays. In banking, in certain aspects of Dutch society, people have 30, 35 or even more holidays. Working hours, normally it's 40 hours per week, but up to 56 hours per week you can make contracts. Termination is, like everything in the Netherlands, not possible without a government permit. You need government permits to do everything in the Netherlands. If you want to build, you need a government permit. If you want to transport chemicals from A to B, you need a permit. If you want to dismiss somebody, you need a permit. Always you need a permit, and there are a few reasons why you get the permit, yes or no. So not conducting your business could be a reason to give a permit. Most of the times, a termination fee has to be paid, which is quite an amount. But the dismissal with mutual agreements, that's the most normal ground in the Netherlands, that you come to an agreement with your employee, that you give a certain amount. In the last few years, economy was doing very well, so the mutual agreement was easy to access. Now you see that many people get unemployed, and due to COVID, it's very difficult to get a new job. So the mutual agreement is not that easy anymore. It's not writing a check that somebody leaves. So now the permit option under 1 is the normal one. If you start business in the Netherlands, normally we see that international companies start with an agency, distribution, or franchise. Then you don't need local staffing. You start with a Dutch partner, joint venture, or whatever. First, check out whether the Dutch system works for you. Then you can use a short stay Schengen visa. That's for 90 days out of 180 days. You can come 3 months to the Netherlands in 6 months, and then the second 6 months of the year you can again come for 90 days. If you want to bring employees, so that's long stay over 90 days, then you need a residence permit, a work permit, or a provisional residence permit. And not everybody is allowed. Only allowed if it's a highly skilled migrant. So the company who is bringing the employee to the Netherlands has to show its efforts to find somebody on the European market. Even in Switzerland and the European market, you have to put advertisements. And if you cannot find this unique person on the European market, then you are able to bring them from India. The highly skilled migrants is not just for everybody. It's a minimum income for 4,600 per month, euros, 4,600. And if the employee is younger than 30, it's even 3,381. So highly skilled migrants is somebody educated with special skills which you cannot find on the Dutch market. There's also another possibility that you come as a self-employed person, sort of similar. So if it's not a big company, but you want to start your own business and you want to conduct your own business, I don't think that's open to everybody, but similar ideas apply. Contracting is fairly simple. The Dutch like to do business with a Dutch BV, with Dutch terms and conditions. And if you're Dutch, you can trade on the German market, you can trade on the French market. We don't like to do business with companies from very far away. So having a BV with all the permits in the Netherlands, with the Dutch general terms and conditions, that feels comfortable to the Dutch. Everybody is free to contract. It can be in writing, it can be oral. The basics of our law is reasonableness and fairness. As long as it's reasonable and fair, it will be a good contract. Contracts are made by offer and acceptance, so the one gives an offer and the other one accepts it. It's fairly easy. We have a website, www.startingabusinessnl.com. We have elaborated on that website on all aspects, whether you want a BV or an NV, a joint venture, all the different possibilities are there. Renting in the Netherlands, housing is very expensive at the moment. Renting an office is fairly easy. Used to be always 5 years in a row. Now we have more flexible agreements. So also when you're not sure whether it will succeed, you can rent an office space for 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years. We come to the end of the presentation. What we tried to tell you is that it's fairly easy to access the Dutch market. We have the orange carpet treatment from government, but government also takes care that the administration is very efficient. So if the paperwork from abroad is correct, then the Dutch will process it in 1 week, 2 weeks. Getting permits to access the Dutch market, that might take 6 weeks, but even that is fairly simple, and we always say it's mathematically correct. We can deal very quickly if necessary. Thank you so much, and if you have Q&A, please later on.
Thank you very much, Rainer and Gus. We'll now move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Mr. Parthasarathy, who is the founder CEO of a company based out of Chennai called iSolve. I know Partha for many years now, and his wife Chitra actually. I know his wife Chitra before I met him. And his company has done a lot of work for Netherlands. He has hosted 2 of our previous ambassadors, the Dutch ambassadors at his office, and planted trees. I hope those trees are coming up well, Partha.
Big.
Yeah, no, great, wonderful. Partha is one of the latest to set up his office in Netherlands. He did it last year, and it all came through. And last year, April, suddenly I got a message from him saying we are in Europe, we are holidaying as a family. and we want to go to the Netherlands. We're looking at setting our office there. So I immediately sent out mails introducing him to people, one in Eindhoven and one in Amsterdam, and he went and met both of them. And yes, and in a few months later, his company was set up. Partha, please share your experiences.
Sure. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, Mr. Hein Legwin. Ik ben Partha. That's a bit of Dutch I have learned recently. And Vijay, Balaji, Dr. Bose, Alex, thank you very much for having me over, and also SAS partners. I'll take 5-10 minutes to explain a little bit about what we're doing and how we got to Europe and why the Netherlands. I'll keep it short, but if you have further questions, you can always come back to me. So firstly, iSolve is a business transformation company. We are based in Chennai, but we have customers all over the world. We earn in 7 currencies, starting from Australia right up to the US. We already have customers in many countries in Europe, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Germany, and France, and the UK, and of course in the Netherlands. So when we decided to move to Europe, that's because our customers wanted us to be there locally so that they can do more business with us. And also traveling from India back and forth is not really conducive, especially when you want to build the business to a larger scale. So we started looking at options, and because we had customers in many countries, we were not sure where to go, and that's how we started looking at all the options. I will quickly jump, and because I have only 10 minutes, and quickly share 2 or 3 slides which have been sort of our learning and what I think is very important for an Indian company to focus on when they go to Europe and especially the Netherlands. Okay, so just one moment. So, Sundari, are you controlling or shall I share?
We have already started
yeah, okay, so can
sharing.
you move to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, so from our experience, these are the 6 success factors at Europe and I speak from our point of view. The first thing that you need to be, I think you need to be conscious of when you do business in Europe is that you need to build trust. Customers want to do business with only vendors or partners that they trust. And that trust comes by consistency in your thoughts and actions over and over again, and also building good references. So all through our businesses in Europe have been built by referring prospects to existing customers, and they giving good references. It's been a very effective way of building business. It takes time, but I think once you build the trust, I think that's there for you to stay. And of course, the next one is competence, right? You need to have a proven track record for the kind of work that you're wanting to do in Europe. And if you can give references from or proven examples of what you've done with other customers, and especially big names, that will be useful. The third one, like somebody mentioned, is proximity. How near are you to the customer, and how soon can you respond, or how soon can you get to him if you need to have a meeting, or if you need to arrange a conference or something like that. That's very important. The fourth thing that I really found interesting and which suited us was the kind of values and integrity that you bring to the table, right? So the Europeans in general and the Dutch in particular are very focused on sustainability, on environment factors, and so on and so forth. So if you show how much you care for the society and how much you care for the environment, it's very good. So when I started iSolve 15 years ago, and this is something that I learned from the Netherlands, we built our office completely able to work on sunlight. So if you come to any of our iSolve offices anywhere in India, during daytime, you will not see even one electric bulb switched on. Everything works on natural light, and that's something that I learned from the Dutch many years ago. The other point, 2 points, are transparency. How open and sincere you are in your communication. I've been doing business with the Dutch for nearly 25 years, and even back from the days when the Dutch guilder was the trading currency. And some of my best friends are Dutch even today, and I talk to them regularly. Even though we don't do business, some of them are retired. And the Dutch are the only set of people, or very few sets of people, where you can disagree completely and still be friends, right? You can't see that trait with anybody. I mean, you can literally argue with them, and they will still treat you as friends, and that's something that I really like. And of course, the language and local presence is very important, right? And that helps improve your communication better as well, right? So I just move on to the next slide. So most of us, when we go to Europe, we don't go for one country or two countries. We look at Europe as a whole, and then sort of get confused as to where to start your office. And I often get questions from people, especially within the IT community. Should I go to Germany, or should I go to Switzerland, or should I go to Sweden? These are some questions that I would urge each of you should ask before you decide where to go. The first thing that I would recommend is you ask, where are your first 10 customers going to be? Are they in Germany, or are they going to be from Netherlands? Because early wins are very important. And when you go in there, and if you're able to get the first 4-5 deals, you feel that much more confident, and you feel that much more hopeful, and you can continue to invest. So choose your destination based on where your first customers are going to be. The second thing is, it's very important, in my point of view, to have a local hire, right? I mean, if you send somebody from India, and then he would know everything about your business, but he would not know much about the local business practices, or he will not have local contacts and so on. So I would recommend that you hire somebody locally who can help you, right? The third is, I mean, Europe is 28 plus countries, so it's not one country, so it's a bunch of countries. All of us think that if you go to one place in Europe, then you can do business everywhere. I would not recommend that. I would always say that you should have a country or a strategy plan. So when we started the office some months ago, like Vijay said, we decided that we are going to focus only on 2 countries, Netherlands plus one more country. And that we chose Norway as that country because we found that our products and services will have the maximum impact in that country. And for us, Germany, although we have a customer in Germany, we have a customer in Paris. We said we will go there last because they are big markets, and you need to invest a lot of money and time to develop those markets. And then when we started to do our marketing, the first inquiry we get is from Berlin, right? And our sales team says, yeah, I got an inquiry from Berlin, I'm going to go after that. So we had to literally restrain them and say, no. Germany is not part of our plan, so hold on. And the next inquiry is from Paris. Again, it's not part of our plan. So it's very important that you don't get tempted and get distracted by all the inquiries and all the opportunities that you see in bits and pieces, but you should have a country strategy and a country plan. It's better to get 10 customers from, let's say, one region or one country, so that you can serve the customer better than you having them in many different parts. The fourth very important point is, will you have senior management there, and will they invest time and learn? I can tell you, even after doing business in Europe for nearly 25 years, every day is a learning for me, right? I mean, I speak to customers almost 3 to 4 times a week, and every time I speak to them, there is something that I learn, and that's very, very important. I would strongly urge that you provide for this. The other important factor is that, have you got your pricing and costing right? Some of the things that we do from the point of view of pricing and costing in India may not work in Europe. So you have to spend some more time trying to understand how this works and get it right. And the last important thing is, can you think long term? I mean, unless you decide that you're going to be in that region for 2 to 4 years, and you can hold on for 2 to 4 years, it's not worth going, because Europe is not a market which will respond very well, and it works in cycles. Every country has its own cycles, and it may take sometimes 18 to 24 months to get your first solid deal. So keep that in mind. We started, I think the company was formed in October or November. We started our operations in January. And we are very happy that so far we have signed 2 customers, not very big, but it's an ongoing deal. So we are quite happy about that. My target is 10 customers in the first year. We have done 2 because of the lockdown. We are going a little bit slow, but I think once the market opens up, we should be able to get to 10. But it's not been easy. It's a lot of work to get to 400, 500 companies which are part of our target group, and then getting 30, 40 meetings out of that it takes time, right? So please, if you're deciding to go to Europe, think long term, 2 to 4 years. Yeah, next slide, please. So let me share with you our experience with Amsterdam. So before we got to Amsterdam, we had narrowed down to 2 or 3 places. One was Luxembourg, second was Amsterdam, and the third was somewhere in Sweden. Now I'll share the reason why we chose Amsterdam. A lot of our customers are in the banking and finance space, and therefore Amsterdam made sense. Secondly, at that time, many companies were moving from London into the Netherlands, especially Amsterdam and Rotterdam. So we were also eyeing the customers in UK, and some of them were coming into Amsterdam, so that made sense. Thirdly, in terms of decision making, I must record my sincere appreciation in all the good work done by NFIA. Yeah. So starting with Vijay, he immediately put me in touch with Yolanda and the person in Eindhoven, and they came on board and clarified all the questions, and they were regularly following up, making sure that we are comfortable. And then Balaji came in, and he even visited us in Chennai to have a look at what we're doing, and he clarified all the questions that we had. Opening a bank account in the Netherlands takes a little longer than in other places. So there was a lot of support in that as well. So in every aspect, I think NFIA has been helpful. So my recommendation to anyone who's considering going to the Netherlands is to first contact NFIA and make sure that you get all the basic information, the do's and don'ts. Prepare yourselves before you even make the first trip. Yeah. Then Amsterdam has been very good so far. It's easy to travel and easy to live in, much less formal and very easy for the employees who move in from other parts. The people are very warm and they're very open in communication, both in business and personal life. And English is good for most aspects. And finally, like somebody mentioned, Schiphol is very convenient to travel anywhere. So all in all, I think it's been a great experience. Although in year 1, 20 to 25% of our business will come from other places, not really the Netherlands. But I think our decision to come to Amsterdam so far has been a good one, and I hope that this continues to reap rich rewards. And we are there for the long term. I expect that our company will grow multifold in the next coming years, and we're getting good response. And whenever we want, I think NFA is more than happy to help. So I must really thank all of you at NFA for this, especially Vijay and Balaji. Thank you very much. If you have questions, feel free to write to me and I'll be very happy to assist you. Thank you. Over to you, Vijay.
Thanks very much, Partha. Very interesting, very useful. What you said about Europe is very, very correct. You know, it's not one country, it's a number of countries with different cultures, different laws, different ways of setting up. And I think that was very useful. Now, I think what we'll do is we'll get on to the Q&A because we don't have that much time left. The most common question that we received was on whether the presentations will be available. Now, if all the speakers are willing, we can share the presentations with those who are registered with us. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes, Vijay.
Okay, great. So then to all those of you who wanted the presentations, you can send us a mail or request us, and we'll send you the presentations. We have them with you. Now, there are some very interesting questions, and I'll start with Russell. There's some questions for you. One is, there's one question which asks you whether, whether registering a company in the Netherlands for online sales, do you require registration if you want to set up a company for online sales in the Netherlands? Russell?
Yes. There are two parts of this question. Legally or practically, you can sell from India, but there's also a tax aspect to this question, and whether you're taxed, where are you taxed? As we are not tax lawyers, I cannot give you the answer to it, but most probably if you want to, as I told you in our presentation, if you deal on the European or the Dutch markets, it's best to have an entity here, because we like to deal with local companies, local international companies.
I think that answers the question. There's another question for you, which says, do you require a local partner if you want to set up your office in the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's not, that was the slide about the trust offices. There are some rules. For example, you need to open.
We're not able to hear you.
It seems there's a network issue from their end.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to Russell later. Heiner, there are a few questions for you. One of the questions is that it says, it's a very interesting one. It says, are you size agnostic, especially on innovation companies?
Yes, we are. We are. Everybody can get in touch with us. Doesn't matter how big you are as a company. And we will try to help you as good as we can. So size agnostic, sector agnostic.
Okay. There's another question which says, the person is looking at importing pork products from the Netherlands. Would you be able to help them?
Yes, I also saw that question in the chat.
Okay.
Well, I do not have in my head. I don't have a list of exporters, but we can definitely. Yes, we can definitely help him. If he writes an email to me, then we will try to get him in touch with Dutch exporters of those products.
There's another question which says that there's a person who's working in the automotive tech startups and another in the cloud-based startups. Now I know that the Dutch Trade Network in India is doing a lot on startups. Could you elaborate a bit on how you help startups in India?
Different ways. There is no one approach that we have. We try to inform Dutch startups about the Indian market. We try to get them here to see the opportunities that are here in India. Other way around, pretty much the same. We have a couple of, we call them so-called soft landing programs for Indian startups interested to expand into Europe, to show them the Dutch market, what the Dutch market can offer, and also, like I already mentioned, the Dutch market as a gateway to the rest of Europe. But again, specific questions can be sent to me over email as well.
There's another question, I think maybe you've seen it also already. It talks about collaboration for a shipyard. Looking
yes.
For, yeah.
I also saw that one. Well, that's one of the fields I did not mention that, but that's one of the fields that we are also active in, the maritime field. Yeah. Together with our consulate in Mumbai, of course, which is located on the shore. I do not remember what the exact question was, something about being connected to Dutch businesses, I think. Once again, send me an email and then we will get you into contact with Dutch counterparts.
There's another more general question which says, what are the opportunities in education and health?
Yeah, quite general. That's one of the first questions posted in the chat.
Yeah.
I need to have the question a little bit more specific. I do know that the Netherlands is focusing especially on e-health. Thinking also, for instance, of Philips, one of the biggest Dutch companies that also has a large presence here in India with a tech hub in Bengaluru. In the field of education, well, depends on the question, but we have a very active team, like I already mentioned, Nuffic NISO, our education department, which is more than eager to answer any questions about cooperation in the field of education.
Are you back, Russell?
Yes, we're back.
Yes, we're back.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Zoom was not connected.
Fine. Could you complete your answer?
Yes. So the question is, do you need a local partner, a local director? And the answer is, it depends, but you
A little louder, please.
Sorry?
Louder.
Louder, please. A little
Okay.
louder. Louder.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What we normally see is that when a company starts, for example, if an Indian company wants to start a company in the Netherlands, but does not have a local address and local director yet, that we involve a trust office and they can provide a local address and a local partner, a local director. And then if things are going well, if business is doing well, after 1 year or after 2 years, you can decide to cancel the contract with the trust office, and then you can send someone in from India, or maybe you already found a local partner, and then that person who lives and works in the Netherlands can be the director of the Dutch PV company. And then you can open an office, etc. But in the beginning, the first year, maybe the first 2 years, it can be wise to involve another company who provides the address and the local director and the bank account, etc. And that you can do through us. We provide this service.
And if you send an Indian to the Netherlands, then he or she is a Dutch resident, and Dutch residents can become director of the company.
Okay. There's another question. It says, does Russell provide services for virtual office?
No, that's the trust office. But we work together with these trust offices on very actively. So it can we do it. We do the setup of the company. We provide the address, but with the help of a trust office, a third party.
You need a government permit for it, and lawyers are not allowed to do this work.
Okay, that's loud and clear. There have been many other questions largely related to exports and technology. What I would suggest is that, because these are the kind of questions that cannot be answered in a webinar like this, please, all of you have Mr. Lagfin's email ID. Please write to him. He will be able to answer these questions once he receives them, once they do some research themselves about how they can help you and what the opportunities are. Thank you very much. I think it's been, we have had very good interactions. I now request Dr. Bose Nair to give the vote of thanks. I think it's, for me, it's been a very interesting webinar. I hope the participants also found it interesting. The presentations will be shared with all of you. And any of you that have questions can always write to the Consul General or to the Deputy Consul General or to Russell or even to us at SAS Partners and to Balaji. We'd be more than happy to assist you. You have our email IDs and please do approach us and we'd be more than happy to help you out. I'd like to also specify here before I hand over to Dr. Bose is that this is not just a one-off webinar. We want to continue, as a follow-up to these, because I'm sure people will have specific questions, people will have questions on sectors, and we would like to take this up at with more focused webinars related to, for example, specific sectors like startups, like innovation, like life sciences and healthcare, like agriculture, because these are all sectors where there's a lot of interest in India, where the Dutch or Netherlands companies are doing a lot. and we're really promoting in a big way. And we would like to continue this, and this is a process. This is only the beginning. Thank you very much. Dr. Bose, would you like to wind up this webinar, please? Thank you. Please,
please unmute
Sir,
yourself, sir.
Thanks, Vijay. You rightly mentioned, it's a beginning. We will be conducting a number of other webinars, product specified, and again, to your individual queries, definitely you can write to the Deputy Consulate, Consul General, or Vijay. Definitely each and every question will be addressed to. And thanks, Sir Haini, Rinya, Bala, Vijay, Alex, for sharing your views. Thanks. Thanks to all the participants for attending this program. Special thanks to the Secretariat, Sundari, and Vijay, Sundari, Vivek, Mohan, Santi, Sushma, who all worked behind the curtain to make this program a wonderful program. Keep it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Good health. Stay
Very
safe.
much.
And hope to see you again in another webinar. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.